Good afternoon. It's the Saturday of Labor Day weekend, and I'm going to be doing some cooking on the grill, but not the kind of cooking I normally do. There's no meat involved. I'm going to try something new. I like going out to Mexican restaurants, and one of my favorite things to get at the Mexican restaurants, as long as they're not in Poland, but that's another story. Well, I'll tell it to you quickly. I was in Poland about a month ago, and one of the restaurants behind the hotel I was at was a Mexican place. There was a kind of an outdoor eating area with a whole bunch of restaurants all facing onto this big public square, this big public gathering area, and there were a number of ethnic restaurants around it. One of them was Mexican, so I decided I'd try that one night. Let me suggest to you that Poland is not the place to eat Mexican food. And I won't go into further details right now, but the concept of Polish Mexican food just doesn't work. Okay? That having been said, tonight I'm going to try and do Chili Rellenos on the grill. So the first thing I'm going to do is kick the camera down over to the side here, and we're going to kind of roast the chilies. I've got 3 poblano chilies. I'm going to try and roast them enough to blacken the outsides and take the skins off. My chilies are on the grate. I don't think you can tell, but I've raised the charcoal up, the level of charcoal underneath the grate up much closer so that I get a higher heat. And already I've got a few marks on my chilies, so they should get nice and blackened fairly quickly. What I've got tonight is poblano chilies, which I picked up this morning at farmer's market. And there they are. I've got 3 of those. I'm going to do 3 poblanos, and I've also got a can of pre-peeled Anaheim chilies. So I'm going to do a mixture of 2 different kinds of chilies in my Chili Rellenos tonight. And I'll show you these after I get them blackened a little bit. Well, I don't know how well you can see it, but I'm hoping you can see it decently. The chilies are pretty nicely charred here. And what I'm going to do, this one needs me to sit on the side again. We're going to give it just a few seconds more. Then I don't have a recipe for this per se that I'm following exactly, but I've watched 5 or 6 different Chili Relleno recipes on YouTube. I'm thinking that's close to a recipe, so I'm just kind of doing this on my own, based on what I've seen. And everything that I've watched, they do this inside on their gas stovetop. Well, I've got an electric stovetop, and I don't think it's going to do as good a job as this. So that's why I'm doing this outside on the grill. I think I'll get much better results out here. And everybody seems to think that as soon as you take the chilies off, you should put them into a plastic bag. So let's wide angle this a little bit more. Okay, so they said everybody on YouTube seems to say when you take the chilies off, put them in a plastic bag for about 5 minutes. So here we go. Chilies into a plastic bag. Doesn't that look pretty good? Nicely charred. So we're going to give them 5 minutes rolled up in the plastic bag to heat themselves. Look over there. Here's the bag. My chilies are in there. Now the other chilies that I'm going to do are whole green chilies. So I'm going to do I think there's probably 3 in here. That's what there usually is. 3 of those and 3 of these, and we'll see how the difference works out. Come up here and look at me. That's the plan. I'll get these skinned and clean out as much of the seeds as I can without making a mess of them if possible, and then we'll be back to you. Hey there, you hear the bells? I suppose I've done enough videos now that you should know when you hear the bells like that, it's St. Norbert's Abbey, one house between us and the Abbey, and it's 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon because they always ring their bells just like this at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. So just something I thought I'd mention. Listen to the bells. They're pretty. Way back a few months ago, in one of my videos, I think I showed you how I was starting my little container garden. And while we're waiting for the peppers here to be completely ready to take the skins off of, I thought I'd show you how this has turned out. So here's some of my smaller eggplants. I think they're looking pretty good. This is the beans. They're well past their prime, so there's no point in looking at that. Although we still have one yellow bean in there, but most of them are past their prime. Here's my second eggplant, and they're looking really nice. We'll probably eat those sometime the next week or so. Down here we've got a fennel plant. I don't know exactly how we're going to use that, but that's fennel. Then our tomatoes. This is probably the best luck I've ever had with tomatoes, and I truly do not have a green thumb or a red thumb, whatever you need for tomatoes, but I've got a few this year, and I'm very happy with that. This third plant is for yellow tomatoes, and I don't know if there's one of them right there. I don't know if you can see him real well, but there he is. And finally our cucumbers, and they were doing well early, then they kind of stopped for a while, and now I've got this little one here, this big one here I should say, and there's another one in here somewhere, but I can't find him right now. Oh, there he is. There's the other cucumber. So I'm pretty happy with that. And we got some real little ones, which I can't show you decently because it's looking up at the sky, and the light contrast is just too much. Okay, you can see I've already got one of my poblanos skinned. Let's take the next one out of the bag and see how this one works. They've nicely charred. They've sat and steamed or sweated or whatever you want to call it within the plastic bag for about 5 minutes now. And if I'm lucky, I can peel them. Of course, this one's starting to break a little bit, so I'm having a hard time. Don't know how well you can see this. Ooh, they're hot, I'll tell you that. But I hope you can see what's going on here. I'm basically pulling the charred skin off the outside the pepper. And I'm going to slice into them enough to take the seeds out in a minute. after I get all 3 of them skinned. They look pretty nice though. Our next step is going to be to stuff the chilies with cheese. I bought this Supremo Queso Fresco. I will admit up front, I never learned Spanish. I had, you know, a couple hours of it in 3rd grade, and that was over 50 years ago. So hopefully I'm pronouncing this at least close enough that you'll understand it. This is some Mexican cheese that we bought over at the Festival Food Store today. And we're going to try stuffing. I've got these little smaller peppers. They're just called chili peppers that came out of a can. I'm going to do those first. And then see how this works. I think that's too big for that little pepper. So here's the process. We'll see how it goes. A little bit of extra. I gotta test this. Pretty good. And I've got a little bit of chili flavor on my hands or fingers. So we'll see what happens here. This guy might even be able to take a little bit more. The other thing I noticed, I did try and take some of the seeds out of my chilies, and of course that was almost a disaster in that I made a mess of the chili peppers here, but we'll see how this works. That pepper looks a little bit short for this one, so there we go. The chilies are sort of stuffed with cheese. This could turn into a first-class disaster, of course. But what I'm going to do next is go inside where I've got some electricity and whip my egg whites to a hard peak state. Here, come up here and look at me. I'm going to go in and get the egg whites to a hard peak state inside where I've got some electricity to do the whipping. Add just a couple of yolks to them after they're close to done, just to give them a little bit more flavor. And then I'll come back out here excuse me, and we'll start to dip these in flour and then in the egg white mixture, and then we'll do some quick frying. It's not going to be real deep fry. I'm probably thinking maybe about 1/4 of an inch of oil in the Dutch oven over the coals. But we'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to go inside. I'll be right back. I'm back. I've whipped up the eggs. Got the flour out here. I'm ready to coat the chilies and start frying. If you look over here, I've got my oil sitting over the hot charcoal, and I've put about 7 or 8 more briquettes on there. So now let's look over this way. I think you can see that. And here's my flour and my egg mixture. And I'm going to just do a quick batter of that. Now the flour we're using tonight is not just plain white flour. While I like the stuff, it has been suggested by a few people, including my lovely wife, that I should eat more whole wheats. So this is a mixture of white flour and oat flour. Sounds interesting to me. So we'll put those onto the grill in just a second. Let's get you looking over here. Okay, let's see how this works. We're going to put one of our chilies in. I'm not sure if the oil is quite hot enough, but I think it is. Remember, these are the canned chilies now. So we'll just scoop a little bit extra of the egg that came off of them back onto them, okay? And we'll, they seem to be frying okay. I may have to speed up this part of the video once we get into post-production. Look at me. There you are. It seems to be working. It's time to stop and enjoy a small libation. Can't cook outside without one of those, or 2 or 3, whatever works. I don't know if you can hear that, but they're beginning to start to make some deep frying noise. So I think what I'm going to do is flip them over. That looks okay. Yeah, that one's not quite ready. It's starting to get hot enough under there that they're frying nicely. So we'll be back in a minute when I do the next batch. Okay, so I'm flouring my second of the poblano chili rellenos. We'll put him in like that. And hopefully these will fry up nicely. They're certainly a lot bigger than the little Anaheims were. So we'll see how they work. And the oil's a little bit hotter now too than it was. It's been sitting there a while longer. I'm almost ready to turn that first one over. Let's see if we can do that. Oh, that looks very nice. What do you think? Pretty nice looking. Let's see how the other ones do it. And our neighbor's dog seems to think I'm doing a good job. Can you hear him? Okay, we'll take these guys off. Put them on the plate. I've got one more to cook. Okay. I took the last chili relleno out of the pan. I poured off the excess of the grease. I'm going to put all of them back into the pan with a little bit less coals underneath of them. And what I'm going to try and do here, most chili relleno recipes that I've seen on YouTube, at this point they've served them. I've also seen a number of chili relleno casserole dishes where they try and just have the undeep fried chili rellenos ready for making into a casserole with egg and cheese. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some enchilada sauce. I've got some Old El Paso mild green chili enchilada sauce. I'm going to pour it over these chili rellenos. And as you can hear, it's kind of hot and spicy there. Then I'm going to take some shredded Mexican style cheese here. Spread this over the top and make it like a casserole. Okay, I think you get the idea now, right? Then the final step of this is I'm going to take the top of my Dutch oven, and I've moved some of the coals, a little over half the coals, to the top of the Dutch oven. We're going to bake it for about 10 minutes like that. That should melt the cheese perfectly, brown it a little bit, and get the chili rellenos really nice and flavorful. That's the goal. So come up here and look at me again one more time. You're stuck with me. I'm chief cook here. That's the plan. I'm going to clear the table, and then we'll probably eat dinner out here on the patio. And finally, here we are, ready to eat. This is quite hot. Trying to get the legs of the Dutch oven to sit exactly on the trivet. There you have it. Chili rellenos, sort of as a casserole, sort of just baked. I'm going to take, I think, one of each type. There's my poblano. And There's my Anaheim. And I'll do one of each for the lovely and gracious Judy. For her. And we've got 2 for lunch next week, maybe, or something like that. And of course we have a little bit of homemade guacamole. So that's our dinner tonight on the patio. And I hope you enjoyed watching the video. I enjoyed making it and making dinner. If you did like it, I would very much appreciate comments, of course, and if you would subscribe to my channel. It's all about sharing on YouTube, and this is one of the things I enjoy sharing, is cooking outside. Have a great evening. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Bye-bye.